So my name's Dr. Kevin Telmer, and essentially my entire career has been dedicated to understanding and improving artisanal and small-scale gold mining. That's the global term for what's called alluvial mining in PNG. So I hold a PhD in geochemistry. I'm a geologist. I've been working in sort of the mining sector, but only with alluvial miners for almost 30 years now. And I founded an organization called the Artisanal Gold Council, whose mission is to improve and professionalize the artisanal or the alluvial mining sector. And that's really what brought me here to PNG. I've worked in about 30 countries across the globe, so I'm happy to speak with you about what's going on in other countries and compare it to what's happening here in Papua New Guinea. So when I first came to PNG, that was about 4 years ago now, it was a really wonderful surprise. I came to understand that it had one of the world's most robust and well-managed systems for alluvial mining. And when I tell PNGers this, they're a bit surprised. Most don't really know that. But it had what many countries do not. It was truly integrated into society, the alluvial mining sector. I think everyone knows what it is. People appreciate it. The government strongly supports it. We've heard a lot of that this morning. It was very well supported by the government and in particular by the MRA. We heard Mr. Stanley Nekatel's extensive comments this morning. It has its own small-scale mining branch. That's unique in the world. It's very rare. Most governments do not have a separate small-scale mining branch within their government, a legislative body whose responsibility it is to regulate, improve, support the alluvial mining sector. So congratulations. That's quite an impressive thing that I came to see when I first came here. Very impressive. And the MRA even had a vision to professionalize the alluvial mining sector, which is our mission. That's our mission. So we fit very well together. They had this concrete mission where they had a ladder where you would train them through their training center, this small-scale mining training center in WOW that we've heard about already, and raise people up to be upwardly mobile and improve their lives and that of their community. So these were all firsts and, in a sense, world-leading systems. So I went around the world. I travel. I work in the field with miners, but I also go to a lot of meetings and work with sort of high-level policy. And I broadcast this success at many meetings and within my network and with great enthusiasm because it was truly a jewel. And that might come as a surprise to you, but it's just because you're not aware of the other parts. The other parts of the world with alluvial mining sectors have nothing to compare to what PNG had, let's say, starting 4 years ago when I first came. It is really what attracted me to come here, and I'm very happy to be here to speak to you about it. But unfortunately, as we are now discussing, it's become under threat. So this model that really was an example for the world is in danger of no longer being a model, and that's what I've been asked to talk to you about. So really, it's in a state of crisis now, and I want to provide to you 4 lines of proof about that state of crisis. So the data that my colleague Sean Bloor and I have compiled really leaves no room for doubt. PNG's gold sector is facing a crisis, and it's driven by sophisticated illegal acts. So we found these 4, we decided to present to you 4 very clear lines of evidence of gold smuggling. The first line of evidence we've already heard about. Basically, you have falling exports exactly when the gold price is rising and the level of activity that you see in the field is rising. And I think we have some graphics if you want to show them. Well, there's the rising gold price is this blue line, And remarkably, you see the falling export level of gold. That's alluvial gold from PNG. But let's have the next slide. So what you're seeing here is the blue line is the rising price. The yellow lines are the falling exports. And then here's a remarkable piece of evidence that we haven't discussed yet. The orange bars, the largest bars, the orange bars are the records, the formal records of import of alluvial gold to other countries. So the MRA is publishing the exports, the yellow bars, and the rest of the world, several countries in particular, that fill out customs importation records through a database that's it's called the Comtrade database, are recording their imports from PNG, and you can see there's a massive difference. So the orange bars are what is actually being received by these foreign countries, and the yellow bars are what's being recorded as export. And the only answer to how that's possible is that what's been circled in red there is smuggled gold. And you can see, for example, in 2023, the amount of smuggled gold is more than it's double. It's more than what's actually being declared as produced. I would go further to say that that's just what's being recorded. The actual smuggled gold is probably larger, but this is what we have concrete evidence for. So let's go to the next slide, and I'll talk about another line of evidence that's undisputable. And this one we haven't spoken about very much yet today, is the under-declaration of purity. So gold occurs naturally. It doesn't occur as pure gold naturally. It contains other elements. And in PNG, the lowest purity gold that exists in nature in PNG in general is about 60% gold. And much of it, for example, the Porgera mine is around 78%, and there's the other large mines for which there's data, it's somewhere around there, around 70%. And if you go back into MRA's records, even 10 years, you're going to see that the average purity of export gold from the alluvial sector is around 70% pure, okay? And then what you're seeing in this graph is the purity declaration by one exporter in particular, and that's that green line, the lower line. And it goes from about 70, I think it's 78% there, and it falls. And by the time you get to 2023, it's 30%. That's impossible. It is impossible to source gold from the alluvial mining sector in bulk and produce an ingot of gold that is only 30% pure in its gold content. So what they're doing is under-declaring the purity. Okay, so I have a bar of gold. It's 70% gold. I tell or I record that it's only 30% gold, so I'm able to export the other 40% without paying tax. I'm able to export the value of that gold in hard currency. And that is a smoking gun. There's just no explanation. There is no way to generate this kind of a product by sourcing gold from the alluvial gold mining sector. So it's really undisputable. So what happens when this happens, when they do this? For one, they don't have to pay the levy on that extra 40%. For two, they don't have to repatriate the US dollars back into Papua New Guinea, because that's what you're obligated to do. You export the gold, it's refined, it's paid for, and that money must return back to PNG. So in this case, double the value of the gold, so that extra 40%, right, is able to be left overseas. And so really it's, they're this illegally transferring money out of PNG. And in 1 year alone, this scheme potentially concealed about 787 kilograms of gold worth about 145 million kina. And this gold and its revenue, this foreign currency, is basically just being stolen from the people of PNG. Terrible. The third line of evidence that I'd like to present, we've talked on a little bit. It's really about foreign investment during a collapsing legal market. So if you're in the mining industry, you're looking around, hey, where can I open a mine? Where can I do good business? And I look at PNG's export records, and I see, wow, look, the alluvial gold mining sector is its exports are plummeting. Why would I invest in a place where the exports are plummeting? It doesn't make any sense. So, that anti-correlation there, the rapid decline of legal exports and the increasing involvement of foreign-backed investment is very suspicious. Why would they do this? And the answer is simple. They're not investing in the legal sector. Essentially, what they're doing is funding the illegal network. And there really is no other explanation. They exploit local licenses, use sophisticated networks to facilitate tax evasion, money laundering, the things that we've heard about. So I'm going to tell you the final line of evidence and then just make some comments about what we see around the world and what kind of destruction this illegal activity is causing in other countries and now also in PNG. So again, Sean Bloor has been in the business of doing sort of investigative work on all kinds of commodities movements. So we've looked at records, international records, et cetera, and we discovered that the exports coming out of PNG, even though the export license conditions mandated by the bank, by BPNG, require that gold be exported to a refiner that can generate these certified records of purity and payment for the PNG government, we discovered that at least one exporter is sending the gold to themselves overseas. So they're disguising the destination of the exported gold. So they export the gold to their own company. That company somehow reports back to the records back to PNG, and then that gold is transshipped to another destination to conceal these financial flows. Let me just explain what that means, transshipment. So the gold lands in one airport. It does not enter the country where that airport is sitting. It enters a warehouse on this side of customs. And then it's repapered, okay, new documentation that will then describe the gold as in accurate terms, so its purity, for example, and then it's reshipped to another destination. I think we have fairly compelling evidence that that's also been going on. Okay, let me just talk about the destruction that this causes. What kind of destruction is really caused by smuggling? Because if you're a miner in Waubulolo or Goroka, whatnot, and there's a gold shop, and they're going to pay you a price for the gold, you have an option of selling it to different buyers, and there's this one buyer that's willing to pay a lot more. That's likely who you're going to sell it to, and I think that's just normal behavior for a small miner. But it's kind of a devastating consequence for the nation. At a high level, this compromises the economic sovereignty of PNG because the illegal financial flows that are associated with this undeclared gold directly deplete PNG's hard currency reserves. The lack of enforcement that's going on.
Sorry, Dr. Kevin, may I just ask you to repeat that line that you just stated?
Sure thing.
Illegal financial flows.
Yes. I'm saying that the illegal financial flows compromise the economic sovereignty of Papua New Guinea because the undeclared gold exports directly deplete PNG's hard currency reserves. And
I have the team from the Bank of PNG here, I believe. So, gentlemen, you'll be taking notes. That's a very interesting statement right there. The illegal financial flows compromise the economic sovereignty of PNG. And Kevin, please continue. I lost that last part there.
No problem. I welcome interruptions. I think everyone does because it adds a little bit of pace and makes it easier for people to listen. So, in this, we've heard already about the Financial Action Task Force and the Gray List, and this is leading to making life more difficult for many Papua New Guineans, right? This continued failure to act against these organized illegal financial flows will cause...
Dr. Telmer, my apologies for interrupting again. We just... Governor Peter Ipatas has a flight to catch. He's got other urgent business, and he's excused himself just to advise. You may continue. Thanks.
Thank you. Safe travels, Governor. Okay, so there's the big picture that I've just addressed, but in my world, I work in the world of small miners and the community of small miners. Most tragically, the smuggling is destroying the livelihoods, really, of tens of thousands of honest citizens. So you have legal and illegal gold flows, and those cannot coexist. The illegal actors, their costs of doing business are much lower than the cost of legal actors doing business. And so the writing's on the wall. This means there won't be any legal actors left. And we've seen this in many other countries. So basically, the country tips. The illegal actors arrive. They start to predate on the legal gold sector. And then at some point in time, usually takes, according to our observations in other places, it takes perhaps 3 or 4 years. You won't have any legal, gold buyers or anybody that's able to truly obey the law left operating. And that's a very unfortunate situation because you end up with a artisanal gold mining community that's viewed by the government in negative terms. And it builds a lot of animosity between government and mining community, etc. And I would say at this moment in time, PNG is on this trajectory. It's on this trajectory towards tipping into an entirely illegal sector. It's getting close. I mean, we've heard the numbers earlier today from the distinguished members where 120,000 ounces of gold has fallen to 40,000 ounces. And I would say the actual production's higher than 120,000 ounces now. That's shocking. That is a sector that's operating at about 2/3 or 3/4 of its capacity is running through the illegal sector. So the commercial advantage forces these legal and law-abiding gold buyers out of business, and they get systematically replaced with entirely black market economy. When that legal market collapses, other aspects of society start to break down, as I've just mentioned. You have government agencies like MRA, for example, are going to lose the revenue because they receive their revenue from this levy. They lose revenue to provide essential services, training. The training aspect of PNG's alluvial mining sector is one of the jewels globally. So this activity is happening in 80 countries. And PNG should be very proud of what it has built, but it's in danger of losing it. And the mining community itself becomes increasingly vulnerable to conflict, exploitation, and predation by criminal syndicates. We heard a lot about syndicates earlier today. And unfortunately, usually hostilities between government and miners increase. So the last piece I just want to add, we haven't talked about very much, and I understand SEPA is not here today, the Environmental Protection Agency.
Actually, Dr. Kevin, they have sent an officer who is here, Mr.
Okay.
Pitts Murphy. He's over there. Thank you for turning up, Mr.
Yeah.
Murphy. Appreciate that. You'll be asked to come and join the table as well with our team from Bank of PNG. Well, you can stay where you are, but you can do a presentation after Kevin's presentation. Thank you.
Well, it's great that SEPA's here. And So on the environmental aspect, the environmental basis, I think we heard Honorable Governor Bird mention West Africa earlier in the day. There are other countries that have had an alluvial mining sector, a much larger one for a much longer period of time, that's undergone the same process of transforming into an illegal sector. And the environmental destruction is shocking. So right now, PNG's alluvial sector is environmentally not terrible. It's basically a physical process using gravity to extract gold. So there's not a lot of toxic chemicals used. But what happens is, as the sector grows, the illegal sector grows, you see an increasing amount of illegal toxic chemicals used, cyanide in particular. So then you end this very awful mix of cyanide and mercury. And the operators that are using these materials and generating this waste, well, they disappear. As soon as they get the gold, they leave. So there's nobody left to clean up except the state. And this really does leave a legacy in the environment that can last for generations. So you're looking at, this is another very strong reason to try to avoid this system from tipping into the illegal sector. So let me just conclude. Thank you very much again for the audience. It's always a struggle to prioritize how to go about fixing these kinds of problems. And an artisanal mining sector is a diverse group of people. It's geographically dispersed. So how do you start? Where do you go? And I think that you do have you've got a lot of simple, cost-effective options to start with. It might get more expensive to really go hard, but nonetheless, there's lots of great starting places. This committee is one of them. And honestly, this is rare. Just like what I'm calling the jewel of how you've organized your alluvial mining sector, here we are at the highest level, in a sense, of government, calling together all of the various parties. And this is rare to have happen in other countries, where artisanal mining is often viewed as a very low priority. So you're off to a great start. We've heard about, we're here a little bit from FASU and other parts of the Bank of Papua New Guinea. So there are export licenses that are emitted, and there are import and export records that are, I think, if Sean and I can put together this evidence fairly quickly and fairly cheaply, that's a good, it's a good example of how you can go about just turning up the volume a little bit on the diligence of collecting those records and shutting down the illegal operators. So I would suggest starting there. Simple intelligence unit. I think it already exists. Maybe it needs to be given a little more oomph, a little more of a nudge to look at this more carefully. We, of course, are very happy to help out in any way we can with our technical knowledge. And then you can go further. Of course, you might want to consider creating a special gold enforcement unit, and we've heard that discussed a little bit this morning. I don't think that would need to be very large or particularly expensive, but it might focus. And if I'm not wrong, I heard someone speak about creating this gold enforcement unit that would be comprised of the main stakeholder agencies in government. And I think that's an excellent idea. That way you get everybody on the same page quickly and understand where the barriers are. You can go further. I think, control at the airports, that's important. A technical monitoring system, for example, and equipment. And then back to Stanley Necatel of MRA's request, in a sense, for increasing the capacity of MRA. I would strongly support that as well, because in the end, this problem won't be solved in the office. You need people out in the field. And that's really how Sean and I can come to a group like this and speak with confidence, because effectively we've been in the field for many, many years. And it enables us to speak, I think, somewhat concisely about the issues and try to help out. So, in conclusion, honorable members, Special Parliamentary Committee, PNG's alluvial gold sector is a perfect engine for upward mobility. It's a great opportunity for your citizens. It's a natural, decentralized system that puts wealth directly into the pockets of your rural people. That allows them to educate their children, build businesses, move on, build a better life, etc. It's a wonderful and particularly poignant resource with a very low entry point. But it's being molested at this moment, and on a fairly massive scale, to be frank. And that's destroying this capacity that the sector has to empower its own citizens. And so, thank you again for your attention, but I implore you to act quickly and try to get what appears to be a worsening problem under control. Thank you very much.